Somehow he just come up to me in a club demanding my number. But there was something about his smile and his cheekiness.
Can I just say, you lot are pushing in the blokes up here. Oh my God, please take me home.
He really captured a part of my imagination. I don't think it was necessarily just because he was gay. It was just because he was a vivacious and a man who seemed to be so alive, so full of life, so content and happy with himself. Of course, you know, as I found out in due course, it was far from true. You know, this man who externally seemed to be so up and lively was really literally dying inside at all, with huge swathes of the West Indian community who see homosexuality as being, you know, the most abhorrent.
This is your room.
Oh my God, fabulous. Oh, I can get a few blokes in here, Brenton. Okay, thank you.
There was major conflict, I know, in his life, him having to come to terms with that, him not always liking the man that he saw looking back in the mirror, struggling with that. For me, looking at him, that was heartbreaking.
I'm going to be coming here every year.
Beverley and Tyrone rapidly became close, but suddenly he vanished, and Beverley was surprised to learn that he was in hospital.
As I walked into the ward and kind of had a look around, there were lots of posters about HIV and antiretrovirals and lots of jargon which I knew kind of was familiar with, but not exactly sure what it meant. Very slowly, like in tiny slow motion, the penny began to drop. Maybe he's HIV positive. So whilst I had these kind of suspicions, whatever, in my head, I just wanted to be there and thought, well, whatever's wrong with him, he'll tell me in his own time. And whatever's wrong doesn't really matter. It's about him being well.
On his discharge, Tyrone had nowhere to live. Before she knew it, Beverley had opened her own door.
I cannot emphasise how out of character this is for me, because I was living by myself and I loved my freedom. I said, oh, well, come and stay with me because, you know, I've got the other bedroom. It's fine, brilliant, it'd be all right, laugh. What did I just say? Hey, come and live with me. What? I'm always very cautious and will take my time when I'm meeting people. You never know. And Mom was always, you know, drilling that into me. Not everybody who's smiling at you means good for you, Beverley. And so, you know, she's Mum. She knows everything. Don't all mums? But you know, then I had second thoughts, and then thought, no, actually, I do mean what I just said. Come and stay with me. It'd be great. I was interested just to see how they'd feel about my gay mate. I thought it was going to be a big deal just based on how they had been raised and how they'd raised me. The church was in the centre of my life. Everything I did socially revolved around the church. There are varying degrees of evangelical Christianity. I've got uncles who, you know, would abhor me wearing a pair of jeans because, according to them, a pair of jeans is, you know, male apparel. Is that really so bad? Is that really, you know, you can really burn in hell for eternity? Their major concern was that Tyrone wasn't some horrible, odious character. You know, the fact that he was a gay man didn't really trouble them. It would have troubled them greatly if I had been a boy. That would have been a whole different kettle of fish. My relationship with Tyrone was something akin to a kind of a brother-sister love, you know, that all-consuming, all forgiving kind of love. We'd sometimes, you know, sit in bed together, watching crisps or whatever, watching some nonsense on TV, and, you know, we'd be talking about it, or at least I'd be giving it and rattling away. I'd be like, don't you think so, Ty? Tyrone's fast asleep. I'd be like, oh, okay. Turn off the light, go to sleep. There we are. Hear me! I think what Tyrone did was to hold up a mirror and show me myself in a way that nobody else had done. And to help me to fill in the areas of womanhood that hadn't fully matured yet. Watch the way that people change, flip the script and rearrange. It was Tyrone who was like, you got some legs, girlfriend, you know, you got some legs going on, and look at this shape through here, it's lovely, and you know, and he'd be like, come on, let's see it, let's show us that you're a girl, little tomboy you. I'd be like, oh no, I can't do that. Oh, I can't possibly do that. They'll think I'm an airhead. Go and do your thing. I'll make how you say. Get up and hold your girl. Revelation. No one thought I was stupid. No one thought I was dumb. In fact, they quite liked it. Get up and hold your ground. You don't care. Tyrone pulled the chick out of me. Get Up was a hit record, and the tour with Jamiroquai was a major success. And then, of course, Shoulda, Woulda, Coulda was released while I was on tour with Jamiroquai, actually, which just went stellar. That was a very, very difficult time for me. I couldn't get my head around walking down the road and, you know, all kinds of folk knowing who I was and you know, right, Bev, you're right, kids. People said that together we were both sides of the same coin. And we would shine like Venus in a clear night sky.
News about Beverley's special relationship with Tyrone had spread. A new magazine aimed at the gay community approached the couple to do a photo feature for their launch edition.
The thrust of it was going to be something like me and my gay best mate, you know, living together, celebs who live with gay males type thing. And I thought, okay, you know, the Black Will and Grace, we can do this. This is all good. I suppose it became very clear to the interviewer that we were very close because we were finishing each other's sentences and speaking at the same time, saying the same words, and we did the interview. It was a really good laugh. When I read that back, it was just brilliant to read, you know. It even to me, I thought, oh wow, look at that, look at us, you know. And the thing that leapt out was Tyrone's personality.
Beverley wasn't the only one to notice. BBC executives looking for presenters for a new TV series had spotted him too.
So he did a screen test, walked it, totally charmed the pants off everybody. He was in the clouds.
Oh wow.
I remember on one occasion,
Wicked.
you know, kept calling me saying, it's fabulous, and I'm in the sun, and I'm getting all this lovely attention. He was having the time of his life.
This is the life. What are you doing? I'm looking, sorry. But I don't get to see flesh that often. I'm a good boy, you see.
I bet you're not.
I am. I have found two fabulous friends for the night. They are fierce. I'm wrecked.
Whilst filming in Ibiza, Tyrone picked up a stomach bug. For anyone else, it would have been a minor ailment. For Tyrone, it was much more serious.
With a weakened immune system, something like Giardia really doesn't just knocks you for seven, really lays you out. And he got very ill, he couldn't shake it. It was around this time that I was supposed to be going off to Brazil as an ambassador for Christian Aid, looking into the link between HIV/AIDS and poverty. I had no real idea. All I knew was gorgeous people and sun and sand and thing. So there was that pull of seeing this exotic country that I'd read so much about. When I actually got off the plane and saw it for myself, I realised that all my preparation meant nothing. I was absolutely astounded by the abject poverty that people had to deal with. I'd never been to a community where the houses were built on stilts, wooden houses, built on top of an open sewer, where there wasn't running water in the whole community. I'd never seen anything like it. It was the most distressing, upsetting, and head-spinning experience. I can't put into words how every single day would physically drain me and make me go back to the hotel and weep.
We asked for solution, for your retribution. So while this world marches on with your memory gone, my heart will remember. Still you're my fallen soldier. Thank you.
I was shown by the Christian Aid partners to this place in a hospital, which was called a toy library, where kids who were born HIV positive could be entertained for hours on end while they were waiting to see the doctor. I remember a little boy called Gabriel. He was 7, you know, just wide-eyed and full of living. He said, "Oh, draw your flag, and I'll draw mine." And you know, so I did a really rubbish Union Jack, and then he did this fantastic, you know, the Brazilian flag with the colours and everything. And he said, he signed it, you know, to Beverley from Gabrielle, and then he wrote, "This is so you don't ever forget me." And that was when I realised that Gabriel was acutely aware of his own mortality. When I got back, I wrote the song Salvador, and the first verse describes him.
In the corner of the city, there's this vibrant little kid.
He was a beautiful little boy with big hazel eyes. When I close my eyes, I can still see him.
He has all the world's ambition, but he lives on borrowed time. With his terminal condition, he'll be gone before he's nigh.
I can't ever forget that. I can't ever forget that. A part of you is changed permanently, and it also helped me to understand perhaps in some way Tyrone's own position with his HIV status. When I got back, Tyrone was so ill. I was for the first time, I was frightened. Within a few hours, his condition just deteriorated, his breathing became irregular, and in the middle of the night, I had to call an ambulance, whiz him down to the nearest hospital, which, thank God, was at the bottom of the hill by where I lived. Eventually, after many tests and, you know, needles and all kinds of horrible things, they diagnosed pneumonia. I was frightened. I was very frightened. He was frightened.
All right, Kings. How many Kings are in the house?
After the release of her album, Who I Am, Beverley was scheduled to undertake a solo tour. Even with Tyrone's encouragement, it was a real wrench.
It goes like this, yeah?
It was really tough, going on tour, knowing it was going to be a hell of a tour. the album had done so fantastically well, and you know, the fan base had grown immensely, and all of that was so fantastic. But in the midst of this was my own kind of private whirlwind of hell going on. The very first date that I played was Bristol. Ill as he was determined that he was gonna at least catch that show. I was like, are you crazy? No, I'm coming to Bristol. Fine, he's coming to Bristol. December the 1st, 2002. December the 1st, as you may know, World AIDS Day. December the 1st is also Tyrone's birthday, just by a massive twist of irony there. Well, what I did was got the whole audience to sing happy birthday to him, which he absolutely, of course, loved.
Oh, thank you so much.
And then I dedicated Gold to him. And of course, that song took on a whole new meaning. That song is a very important song in my career, I now realise, and will continue to be so.
1, 2, 3.
Gold was inspired after a relationship went sour, and Beverley sought consolation from a best girlfriend.
Some people never recognize it.
She said, you know something, Bev, when I look at you, I see someone who to me is like gold. You're very precious to me and very special to me, but sometimes people don't always recognise gold when they see it. And whilst I'm listening to her words really began to resonate, and so I'm kind of like, I'm starting to tinker now. I'm tinkering in the key of F, because when you're not very good at a piano like me, F is just like, yes, sounds good. So I'm tinkering, and I'm playing these chords like this. It's kind of pensive chords. And I'm thinking about the lyrics, and it put me into a certain kind of mood, and I'm looking at the lyrics, I'm playing these chords, and in my head this whole picture of how people used to pan for gold and get excited because they found a shiny pebble. Oh no, it's gold, and it's not, it's just a shiny pebble, and the shine was the light glinting off of it or whatever. And then some people do actually see gold and let it slip through their fingers because they don't actually know what it is. They don't recognise it, you know, they think, oh, some yellow thing, whatever. And all those things were whirling around in my head, and so I started to write the song Gold. And the image, the chorus, you know, I'm gold, catch me in the slipstream. What I was saying was, you know, the literal idea of this, of putting your hand in a river, and as the current's going through, your hand acts as like a sieve, like a filter, and you catch the gold as you see it, type thing. And if you know the worth of it, you'd hold on to it, you'd never let it go. The meaning of that song just kept growing and growing and growing. So many people took it to mean so many different things in addition to its original meaning. And that night, Gold, when I sang it to Tyrone, it was saying to him that he was gold, you know, that I'd caught him in that slipstream and I was not going to let go of him, no matter what.
I'm gone, babe. Catch me in the slipstream, passing by the fools who just don't know you, babe. You're looking at the real thing. If you knew my worth, you wouldn't let go. Oh no. I am here.
Went to stay with his family close by our own in the Midlands, but by January his condition was worsening rapidly.
He called me in this very weak voice saying, Bev, I need to go back to hospital. I need to go back now. Just dashed around all my stuff, got it all in the car, scooped him up from Warsaw. I was on the motorway, racing down the motorway, heart pounding, saying, is London going to get any closer? You know, my God, how long is this journey? They did loads of tests. I mean, so many tests, needles, more blood. I knew when they said the prognosis is poor, what they meant was there was no turning back, this was it. His speech was slurred, like he'd been drinking, and then his speech all but disappeared. It became grunts and noises. The ability to eat, swallow, communicate, all these things just one by one were shutting down. The doctors said we can keep him, you know, going on drips and this and that and all manner of medication and what have you. And he'll be with us for about another month, 6 weeks, around that kind of time. Of course, I asked what I didn't want to ask, but I asked it anyway. What happens without the tube in the stomach and the drips and the things? And the doctor looked at me and said, you're looking at about a week. And I was like, right, okay. The decision then was Tyrone's to make, and I had to ask him a series of questions, you know. Do you want this tube in your stomach? No. He says, you know, blinking, do you want these drips? No. You know, do you want any more medication? No. Are you saying you just want to drift away now and let nature take whatever course? I still couldn't bring myself to say the word die. Yes. I was like, okay. This is not what I want to hear. I want to hold on to him. I want to hold on to my gold. But it was his decision. I just didn't know how to cope. I actually moved into the hospital at that point and just lived there, thinking, okay, it's a waiting game now.
I can feel the love here. Black people, understand there is a God. Thank you. So
in one of his darker moments, when he was struggling to come to terms with HIV and everything, he'd always say to me, you know, and when the end comes, Bev, you know, I really don't want you to be there, and it's not going to be very nice, it's not going to be very pleasant, and blah, blah. And I was like, you're talking rubbish, man, I'm not hearing it, don't be silly, you know, you're going to be around for ages, come on now. And he's like, no, Bev, I'm serious, you know, and you've got to sing His Eyes on the Sparrow for me at my funeral. And I was like, you know, Mum sang it, I loved it. And Tyrone had also, you know, loved it as a child. And that was one of his favourite hymns. At this point, he had lost the ability to see and speak and swallow, and just about everything had gone. He blinking, all of it had gone. All he was doing was just breathing, so you could just watch his chest rise and fall like this. I was sitting and talking to him and said, well, look, you know, I guess the day has finally come, and you're not going to hear this, you know, when you're gone, so you might as well hear it now. Why do I feel discouraged? And why must the shadows fall? Why Why must my heart be weary, longing for heaven and home, when Jesus is my portion, a constant friend is He. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. Kind of stayed with him a bit and left the room and fell asleep completely, just peaceful, just slept. I think perhaps it was that realization that that really was the moment that I said goodbye, and it was the right kind of goodbye.
I'll be right behind you. Oh, yeah. Keep on going.
I knew when I went to bed that I wouldn't see Tyrone alive again. That word faith is so powerful, and it's a word that makes me smile. My whole life has been dictated by that word faith.
Take us right back to the beginning, to where it all started.
I studied religious studies, so it was theology and philosophy.
My head is like, because she's such a sexy Betty. And some of the lyrics is so disgusting. Because I can read between the lines.
After Tyrone had gone, I felt like I really was a woman. There was no going back to being a child. There was no more naivety. There was no more innocence. There was always that uncertainty that was a line through our relationship because he was ill, and that uncertainty was batted away by this word faith. You know, faith that we were going to see another day, we were going to see another tomorrow, and that everything was going to be all right. Even in the very last moments of his life, in his head, faith would carry him through that threshold from death into, you know, an afterlife wherever he is now. Because he did fear that passage. He feared it like a lot of us do. But towards the end of his life, he didn't fear it anymore. He embraced what was going to happen to him, but not with a resignation, but he understood it and knew that it was a transition.
I have died and gone to heaven.
As opposed to the end of all things. And that takes an incredible amount of faith which I don't yet have because I'm not at that point in my life. And yet I know he'd hinted at that to me.